Okay, take 102. No, not really. Just about 6. But anyway, it's either the phone ringing or somebody knocking on the door or the tripod that's holding my cell phone falling over and hitting the floor. So anyway, deep breaths. I hope we're ready to move forward. I'm talking about something today that you can make, and it's super easy, and they're expensive if you buy them, but they don't have to be expensive. You can make these things yourself. You just need some few simple items, and some of those items you probably already have at home. So what we're talking about today is extracts, or glycerites, if you will. They're the same. It's one and the same. And so basically what we'll be doing is using glycerin to be the thing that extracts all of the goodness from whatever we're going to be extracting, and then we can use that in a multitude of other things, okay? And if you use food grade glycerin, you can use these things in your kitchen. And if you don't want to use glycerin, then you have to use something like an 80 proof vodka or rum or something like that, something that doesn't have a lot of flavor that will take over what you're extracting. So anyway, but for the cosmetic part of this, I only use glycerin. If I'm using things for my kitchen, like I'm making vanilla extract, I usually do use rum. So anyway, that's that. I have here this little jar. I bought a whole box of these salsa jars. I originally intended on making candles and put them in these jars, but once I got them, I just really didn't like the thought of a candle being in here and being what I wanted it to be. So anyway, I made one of these earlier and I did a little video, but I realized I had so many interruptions that I wanted to do a second one. Plus, I'm going to be doing a lot of things with this, so to have 2 small jars or combine it into one big jar later on is not going to be a big issue for me. So, that being said, I am going to, my gloves that I use in my soaping room are reusable gloves, and I washed them after I made this one, and now they're wet, and they won't slide down on my hands, so I can't put them on right now. But what I can do is I've washed my hands, and I have hand sanitizer here, and so I'm just going to sanitize my hands. Now, I have sprayed the inside of my jar with rubbing alcohol, and I sprayed the inside of my lid to my jar with rubbing alcohol because I don't want to introduce anything that shouldn't be in my extract or my glycerite, whatever you want to call it, other than what I'm making. So if I'm making one that's apple, I only want apple in there. I don't want apple and germs. So anyway, hence is why I pull my hair back. I also don't want hair in here. But anyway, I went to Walmart with my daughter a couple weeks ago, and I'm just now getting around to this, but this was on sale for 98 cents a jar. So I grabbed a couple of jars. It was sold as sweetener, as a natural sweetener, but I'm never going to use it as that. So I do use apple fiber and things like that in my soap room all the time. So I just thought I'll just get this and use it as a way to make an extract for my toners and eye serums and shampoos and conditioners and things. Anyway, there's no preservatives. It's organic. There's no added sugars. And the only ingredient in this is organic apple. So these were freeze-dried and then powdered apple. So I don't know if you've ever freeze-dried anything. I don't know if you've ever dehydrated anything, but this is probably about a bag of apples. Because by the time you do all the things and powder it up, there's nothing left to it. So anyway, there's no recipe for this. This is all about how you want to do it. So I'm going to start with an amount that I think will be fine for this size jar. And I'm going to extract it. And once I strain it off, if I feel like I want it to be a little stronger, so I can use less of the extract and products, then I'll add more to it and just do it again. I don't have to get a new jar. I can add it straight to this jar. So anyway, here we go. I've opened this. I've already taken off my little shaker cap that it came with. And I'm just going to go ahead, there's no measurement. You just need to remember kind of what you did if you like your extract when you're done. Make yourself some notes. This video is my notes. That's 1, 2, 3 heaping teaspoons of apple fiber. Well, not apple fiber. Apple. That's dehydrated apple. I don't know where fiber came from. I think I said it earlier, so I confused my own self. All right, so then anyway, to this jar, I'm going to, and I can't hold this heavy thing up, but this is food grade glycerin that I get from the chemistry store, because the chemistry store is like a 15-minute ride from me, and my husband goes and picks up things for me all the time. So I get it from there because it's just easy peasy. I can order it that morning and pick it up within an hour, because they just ask you to give them about an hour so that they can fill your order. And I needed jars and things, so I just had him grab me an extra one of these. So I've added my glycerin, and you can see that all my powder is down here. Now you don't have to stir it up, but I am going to stir mine up. I stirred up the last one, and I'm going to mix this one in as well. And I'm going to try to get it all mixed so there's no clumps of just powder in there. Okay, to the best of my ability. Okay, and now that I have my, wipe off my table, though you can't see the mess, I can. Now that I have my glycerin in there, I just put my cap on my jar. You can see that I've got it all mixed up from the bottom. And so now what I'm going to do, I have a crock pot over here. Right now it's full of a Castile liquid hand soap base that I use for all of my hand soap recipes. That's in there, and once I get that out, I'll get my crock pot cleaned out, fill it with water. Well, not fill it, but I'll put enough to come up to the top of this jar without it won't go over the top of the jar, but more than halfway full of the jar of water. And I'm going to turn that crock pot on. I'm going to let that water, I'm going to put these jars, both of these jars in there, and I'm going to let it sit in that crock pot warming until this glycerin comes to a bubble, not really a boil, but a bubble, and it'll take hours and hours and hours and hours. It'll probably be right before I go to bed. Then I'll come in and I'll turn off the crock pot. I'm still going to leave these jars in there to cool in that overnight. But what happens is when that heat is mixed with that glycerin and this apple powder, it's going to extract all the goodness from the powder into the glycerin. And then if I need to, and I don't know with using this powder if it's just all going to melt, but if I need to, I'll strain out my glycerite, my extract, excuse me. I'll strain it out and repackage it into whatever container I'm going to use for storing it, and I'm going to re-sanitize, and then I can use it for whatever products I want to make with it. Okay, so that being said, I have lavender growing in my yard, and so just the other day I went out to do something and I accidentally broke off like a couple of little sprigs of lavender. So I didn't want to throw them away. I love my lavender, and so I brought them inside real quick and I tossed them in a jar, and I put them in this glycerin. And to show you how much of a preservative glycerin is, this was done, I did it on the same day that I picked roses to make a glycerite, which was May the 16th, 2022. Today is, I believe it's the 21st of June. It's the Monday after Father's Day, so I think it's the 21st. But anyway, I popped that lavender in this glycerin. I haven't put it in any heat yet, but that lavender is just as purple and fresh looking as the day that I picked it. So how wonderful is that? Now this smells like lavender now because it's been sitting, but I'm going to go out purposefully in the morning. It's better if you're going to do any type of flower or anything like that, to do it early in the morning and grab that and then bring it in, wash it off, and stick it down in your glycerin. So I'm going to pick more in the morning purposefully and add it to this jar, add more glycerin, and I'm going to put it in the same crock pot with my apple fiber. There I go again. With my organic apple powder, which is basically an apple, and put it in the crock pot, and I'm gonna let them simmer. So anyway, I will tell you that I have made some other extracts that I'm going to be using in my soap room. And let me just show you. I'm going to step away for just 1 second, not too far. I'm just right here. But I just wanted to show you something. Like, now, I got these from Lotion Crafters, and I've had them for a while. So they last a long time. A little goes a long way. But this is hibiscus extract. And this is amber extract. And I have a lot more extracts down there. And I buy these. But these are like $5 a bottle. Okay? That's $5. I paid like $15 for this jug of glycerin from my local chemistry store. I paid 98 cents for this bottle of apple powder. So I've got 2 jars so far that will be this apple extract. And I can make a lot more. And I haven't spent $5. You do the math. So I may end up putting grabbing some of these type bottles and actually marketing some of my extracts. But anyway, put those right there. I use extracts in many, 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 many things. I have one face cream that I make that has at least 10 different extracts in it. And it's so wonderful. It is my Feed Your Face cream. And I should have called it Once You Try It, You Buy It face cream, because anybody who puts any on the back of their hand or tries it on their face as a sample, they always come back and buy it. So anyway, so May the 1st of 2022 this year, I had some strawberries, and I had too many. I had so many that my granddaughters could not, and myself, we couldn't eat them all before they would go bad. So rather than even risk that, I just took out some and I chopped them in fourths and dropped them in this jar, and I filled the jar with the vegetable glycerin, and I did the same thing with the crock pot, and then I let them sit for another week before I strained this out to make this beautiful strawberry extract. And it smells so much like I don't know if you've ever had a freeze-dried strawberry. You know, the ones that are like in Special K or whatever, and you can smell those strawberries. Well, that's what this smells like. And I use this in some toners and things like that. So I have this one, and that color from the strawberries is the only way that that's pink. I didn't add anything to it whatsoever. I picked some roses, and I made a rose extract from my roses out of the yard. Great anti-aging. Pine extract. We had some pine trees taken down, and when the trees came down, there were some itty bitty little tiny pine cones that were about the size of a dime that smelled so wonderful because they were so fresh that I decided to make a pine extract. We had gotten a pineapple from the grocery store that was organic, and when we decided to cut it, because it was a whole pineapple, we cut it and took the core and we took the peels off, and the core always has a little bit of meat and the peels always have a little meat, but I did a pineapple extract also. It smells just like pineapple. And then we had an organic watermelon that came, seedless watermelon that came from Costco, and so I took some of that rind that had a little bit of the meat still in it, and I did a watermelon extract. So these are things that you can make yourself super easy, super fast, and very low cost. And you may not want to go and buy a big jug of glycerin like I do, but you know, if you go to your local superstore, whether it's Walmart or even drugstores, all drugstores will have smaller bottles, maybe like a 16-ounce, 8-ounce or 16-ounce bottle of glycerin. Now that bottle of glycerin is going to cost you about $3 or $4, but even then you're still going to be saving money, because that one bottle will make you at least one of these jars. of extracts. And you can use your own plants. You can use, so if you're going to use your own plants, the only thing you're going to do is you're going to grab those first thing in the morning is the best time. Bring them in, rinse them off. Don't use soap, but rinse them off really well. Put them in your extract, in your glycerin to make your extract. And every single thing that you do, you're going to want to heat it, because if you heat it, don't boil it, but heat it and hold it at a warm temperature for a little while, and then let it cool down, and still continue to hold it for a while before you strain it out, so that you can get the maximum amount of extraction from whatever it is that you're extracting. You want to get the most for it. And just like these, once I strain it, if I feel like it's not strong enough for what I wanted it to be, like, okay, I'm not satisfied with how this is, I can open the same jar and I can add some more of my powdered apple to the same glycerite I already made, or extract, there's one in the same, that I already made, and put it back in there for the process a second time until I get it exactly where I want it. Now, I've also, last week, bought some organic cherries. My son, my older son, loves cherries, and so I grabbed a bag for his birthday, and these cherries were so expensive. It was like $12 for a little bag of these cherries, and he tasted a few of them, and he said they just weren't sweet. They weren't ready to be picked, I suppose. So he waited a few more days. We left them in the refrigerator. He waited a few more days and tried again, and they were just still very tart, and so he didn't want to eat them that way. But I didn't want them to go to waste. Well, for two reasons I didn't want them to go to waste. Number one reason that came to my mind was, oh wow, every Christmas Eve I make meatballs in my kitchen crock pot that have barbecue sauce and cherry preserves. So I'll cook these cherries down and freeze them until I'm ready to make some preserves myself, and that way this time whenever I go to look for those things for Christmas, I won't be disappointed if I can't find them, because sometimes you just can't find them. But then I decided when I unfreeze them, and you can do this as well, when I unfreeze them, I'm going to take some out and I will make a cherry extract. I left the seeds in them, I left the stems on them, I left the peels on them, and just cooked them down a little, just to break them down, and stuck them in my freezer. And when I'm ready to make an extract, they'll be ready for me to do so. I didn't add anything to them, just the cherries. And so anyway, I hope that you have found this useful and that you can make your own extracts. And if you're not going to use them in cosmetics or hair care products or whatever, then by all means you can use them in your kitchen. If you use them with glycerin, you can add them to teas, whatever you want to do. You can do lemons, you can do oranges. I do have some oranges that are sitting in a jar now. They have already been run through the crock pot for me to strain. I can't reach them with this attached to me, so I'll show you them at a later date, but they will look like this. The tint of the extract will be a slight orange color from the peel of the orange. So anyway, I hope this has been useful. If you haven't, would you please subscribe to my channel and give me a big thumbs up. If you want to see something in particular to be made, leave that in the comments below and I'll see if we can work on that together. If you have any questions about the extracts or the glycerites, whatever you want to call them, send me a question and I'll try to sit down and answer each and every one of those. But for now, I'm glad you stopped by to watch this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you'll come back again soon and we can make something else great together that will expand your availability of products that you can use in other things, whether it's cooking, eating, making great things for your body and your skin. But until then, I'll see you. Bye, friends.